So for this video, we're going to focus on the sum and difference formulas for sine and for tangent. So I have the formulas right down over here. Again, keep in mind these formulas are both set for the sum and difference. If I'm doing sine u plus v, then I'm going to be using the top sign here in the formula. Sine u minus v, then I'm using the bottom sign here. Okay, so starting with this problem, we have sine of 45 minus 30 degrees here. So 45 is going to be our u, 30 is going to be our v. Following our formula here, this says that sine u minus v is sine u, so sine 45, times cosine v, so that's cosine 30. And since we have a minus, we're using the bottom sign here, so that means we're going to have a minus right over here. Sine v, which is sine 30, times cosine u, so cosine 45. The next step here, we either need to have our unit circle handy or we need to have access to a scientific calculators and go ahead and figure out what sine 45, cosine 30, sine 30, and cosine 45 is. Sine 45 is square root of 2 over 2 times cosine 30 is square root of 3 over 2. Drop down your minus sign and we have sine 30 is square root of 2 over 2 and cosine 45 is 1/2. Multiply each one of these, we get a square root of 6 over 4 over here, minus the square root of 2 over 4. And when we combine these into one fraction, again, we have common denominators. This is the square root of 6 minus the square root of 2 over 4. Our next example here, tangent pi over 4 minus tangent pi over 6. Quick correction, if you're looking at the tangent formula previously, I had to make a correction on the signs here. I had it 1 plus and then the minus. It should be 1 with the minus on top plus down bottom for it here. So when we plug into this formula, pi over 4 is u, pi over 6 is a v. So plugging directly into this formula, it says tangent of u. So that is tangent of pi over 4. And we have a difference formula that we're doing here, so it is the bottom sign. So tangent u minus tangent v, which is pi over 6, over 1 plus, again, we're using the bottom sign, tangent u, so tangent pi over 4 times tangent pi over 6. All right, so this is describing the appropriate formula, plugging directly into it. Now, our next step here, we need to actually find these values. Tangent pi over 4 is a 1, minus tangent pi over 6 is the square root of 3 over 3. In the denominator, we have 1 plus. Well, tangent pi over 4 is a 1. Tangent pi over 6 is square root of 3 over 3. So this is really just 1 times the square root of 3 over 3. So I'm going to go ahead and just plug in square root of 3 over 3 here, right, since the 1 is insignificant here. Now, we need to simplify this, right? So we need to try and simplify this, get it as simplified as possible before we state our answer here. So, because we have fractions thrown in here, we have a fraction up top, fraction down bottom, and then the whole thing is a fraction. I'm going to clear out some of our fractions here. I am going to multiply everything by a 3. Right, 3 times a 1, 3 times this fraction, 3 times everything in the denominator. So that's going to look like, in the numerator, 3 times 1 is a 3, minus, when I multiply 3 times this fraction here, again, our 3's are going to cancel, and you can drop down square root of 3. Over, again, I'm multiplying everything by 3, so also the denominator, 3 times the 1 is a 3, plus, again, 3 times square root of 3 over 3 is just a square root of 3. All right, so we multiplied all 4 things there by a 3 to simplify it down here to get rid of those fractions. All right, so we need to continue to simplify here. And the way that I'm going to continue to simplify is I am going to multiply top and bottom by the conjugate. So if we take a look at our denominator is 3 plus the square root of 3. Its conjugate is 3 minus the square root of 3. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by that, hoping that's going to clear some things out. Let's go ahead and multiply. In the numerator, 3 times 3 is a 3. 3 times minus square root of 3 is going to give me a negative 3 square roots of 3. Distribute the negative square root of 3. Negative square root of 3 times 3 is another negative 3 square roots of 3. And then here multiplying the end, negative times negative is positive. Square root of 3 times square root of 3 is a 3. Multiplying the denominators, 3 times 3 is a 9. Here we'll get a negative 3 square roots of 3, and then we'll get a positive 3 square roots of 3. And our last multiplication is going to give us, well, plus times minus is negative. Square root of 3 times square root of 3 is a 3. Clearing some things up here in the numerator. So let's see, we have a 3 plus a 3, which is a 6, minus 6 square roots of 3 when we combine our like terms here. Again, 3 plus the 3, negative 3, and another negative 3 here makes that a negative 6 square roots of 3. And our denominator, our two middle terms cancel out, leaving us with a 9 minus 3, which is a 6. Simplify this fraction. All three terms are divisible by 6. I just realized I made a mistake here. I said 3 times 3 was a 3. That is most definitely a 9. I'm not sure how I did that here. Right, 3 times 3 is 9. Then the negative 3 square roots of 3, a negative 3. So let me go ahead and just fix that right over here. That's going to give us that 9 from here, the 3 times 3, plus the 3 that we had back over here. We should have a 12 there. Otherwise, everything is divisible by 6 in this fraction, so I can divide everything by a 6, leaving us with a 2 here up top, minus a square root of 3 over a 1 there. So our final answer is a 2 minus the square root of 3.